by 5.
Drei Gläser.
Two. One.
That's no moon.
What's up, everybody? We are live. It is episode 40
Are we?
of the Hardcore Casual Podcast.
You said live, not alive. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, we're barely that. But he is Jay of F1 Podcast fame, and I am Mason of Radio Infamy, and we are the conversation at the HOA enforced community behind you. And yeah, we've got a lot to talk about today before we get into it. But coming up, we're going to talk Assassin's Creed 007. We got some Expanse stuff. Monster, the Ed Gein story, Ghost of Yote, some other stuff here that I don't know if this is. I'm not even going to mention it just in case it spoils something that Jay is going to talk in a later segment. But we got a lot. EA insanity, Xbox craziness. There's a lot going on.
Couple of big game releases. Maybe not to everybody, but to a significant amount of people. A couple big game releases this week.
Yeah, and so we're going to get into all that, but first, I did want to say again, I apologize for the lack of edited content going up on the channel. Still going through everything with the house, which is a nightmare of its own. And yeah, I mean, Jay, you've gone through the process before.
Yeah,
it is new to me, so I am. It's the worst. It's the worst.
Part of me that is a little bit jealous of you is. When I did it, I was 24, and you know as well as I do, even at your young age, that we're a lot less patient at 24.
Yeah,
I look back on it now that just hearing about your stuff, I look back on it now and go, yeah, I would have handled that better. I would have done that, but I mean, you know, but.
Well,
yeah, I wouldn't.
For me, it's not even the patience; it's the anxiety of it all. Where it's like, you know,
of course, it's your first time, man. And
it's like everything, you know, like it goes quiet, and then you get worried, and then you hear something, and then you get worried. You know, it's like everything just feels like a looming threat instead of just like crossing I's and dotting T's. So, and then I'm not looking forward to having to take all this stuff down here.
Yeah,
it's gonna be fun. But yeah, anyway. And I did one of the things that I got. The reason for the intro is so I'm moving into. I wish it wasn't the case. I wish it was not the case, but unfortunately, the community that I am buying the house in is an HOA community, and I despise HOAs. I hate them with every fiber of my being, but it's how things went. So that's what we're doing. But I got a document this week from the HOA already from the HOA. So it was
some diva mom in charge of it. Guaranteed.
I haven't even closed yet, and I've got this document from the HOA. But would you care to guess? So it was basically the sort of like the bylaws or whatever you want to call it for the HOA. Would you care to take a guess at the number of pages that this document contained from the HOA?
I'm not gonna go with straight up guesses, but I will say that the components probably included how long your grass is allowed to be. When your Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas decorations can be up and when they have to be down by. Maybe how tall or short a fence can be. And then probably noise was mentioned, I'm sure. And loose kids running around in the yard.
So I'll address all those. To answer my own question, it was 109 pages long.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah,
109 pages, and yes, all those things were there. The grass height was something that they were picky about, so you know, had to watch out for the height of the grass. And then as far as decorations, I'm surprised. That's one I did not know. You nailed it. So so basically, I took this 109 page document and I just like put it on Chat GPT and I was like, tell me what I actually need to know from this. And yeah, the other one was the decorations. So you can put the decorations up, but they have to come down within 15 days of the end of whatever holiday you were celebrating.
Yes.
You also, the outside of the house, you can't paint anything, any bright colors. It all has to be neutral colors. You know, that it's got to, for consistency. You know, you can't, there was a lot of stuff that you can't paint your, I don't think you can paint your fence because your fence is kind of like shared with other people. You know, your fence is, so you can't paint your fence. It's just whatever. It's freaking nightmare, dude.
I've already found a dogmatic loophole for you, because if they use the term neutral colors, you can do whatever you want, because the very fact that something is a neutral means it's not a color.
Well, I'm not going to try to push my luck too much. Oh, and of course, you know, bins can't be visible because no one can know that you also create trash.
Yes.
Every week. That's somehow so taboo. We can't let know that trash is created. But anyway, so that's still an ongoing thing. How about you? Anything going on before we get into stuff?
Oh no, just trying to finish out the remnants of summer in relation to my job. And you know, we've got a couple of huge like biannual processes that are coming up that make everybody go full sphincter defilade.
And just to clarify, as Jay has previously stated, he works in the beer industry. So
yeah,
the holidays and then summer, lake, and we're in the southern U.S. You know, so a lot of lakes, and so beer demand goes up.
Yeah, absolutely. So just trying to get through that and move forward. But glad to be here tonight, man. I think we got some pretty decent topics that we need to chew through.
Yes.
But I was going to see if you wanted to go first, because now you've got me hyped on this one topic that I didn't even hear about. So
so this was one that came to my attention last night, and I wanted to bring it up to you. And I am so thrilled that you have not heard this yet. So this is a perfect example, and we've talked about it before. So if you're listening to this and you're like, oh my, and I say black flag, you're, oh my God, he's going to talk about it again. And I am going to talk about it again. We've said it so many times about how Ubisoft always learns the wrong lessons, even with a plethora, an overabundance of information. They always learn the wrong lesson. So,
oh my God, I think I know where you're. Oh my God,
when Black Flag happened, again, this is the part that I will restate, as we have talked about so many times before. We they did the thing. They sent out a survey that many of us got and said, hey, you know, this Black Flag was an unexpected success. It did gangbusters. Would you be interested in a pirate game like this, just disconnected from the greater Assassin's Creed universe? And everybody was like, yeah, that would be amazing. We could do like we could do pirate stuff like every couple of years. That'd be phenomenal. Yeah. And then so all they needed to do was exactly what they already did, and just take out the modern component. Just take out the Animus crap. And then everything else is just what they've already done. And instead what we got was Skull and Bones after years and years and years of development hell. So, case in point, Ubisoft always learns the wrong lesson, even with an overabundance of data. So, this is the new time, or the most recent example of Ubisoft learning the wrong lesson from the overwhelming evidence and overwhelming feedback that they received. So, it has now been reported that Ubisoft reportedly canceled an Assassin's Creed set in post-Civil War America due to U.S. politics and Yasuke backlash from Assassin's Creed
Which
Shadows.
means they were going to make us be probably a
here's the deal. Here's the deal.
Character.
So yes. To set it up, there's a few things here. One, okay, I'll get the big thing out of the way first. People were not upset that Yasuke was black. People were upset that Yasuke was not Japanese.
Yes.
It could have been
absolutely.
It could have been anybody. It could have been any color. The issue was not that he was black. The issue was that he was not Japanese. ever since the first Assassin's Creed games, once they did, once they moved on to Ezio, and everybody like they went to Altair, then to Ezio, and then people were like, oh, we're doing other characters. Ever since they realized like, oh, they're looking at other time periods and areas, everybody was like, please give us feudal Japan.
Yeah,
and for
years
and for decades they were like, no, not doing it, doing it. And then when they finally gave it to us, the main character was not even Japanese. So that's the thing. That's thing number one, is people were not upset that Yasuke was black. People were upset that Yasuke was not Japanese. So what they had, apparently they had this post-Civil War era, obviously US-based Assassin's Creed game. You were going to be a former slave that was recruited into the Assassin's Guild, and you were going to go and do Assassin's Creed stuff. And involved in that, obviously, given the time period, your history as a slave, was going. I think a lot of these are kind of sensationalizing this, the Ku Klux Klan. And I think they make it sound, a lot of these articles make it sound like you were going to be going against the Klan, but I don't think that. But I don't think that's the case. Here's what I think is really going. I think they're sensationalizing that a bit, because you wouldn't want to do that with your game, because that would obviously, if that was going to be the main antagonist, that would mean that the Templars were the Ku Klux Klan. If you were going against specifically the Ku Klux Klan, that would make the Templars racists, right? So you can't do that. Yeah, so you can't do that, right? Also, you don't want like the whole thing with Assassin's Creed is it's the Assassins and the Templars, and they have this ideological difference that's like pitted them against one another for years. But if the Templar, and don't forget, we were forced to play as a Templar in Assassin's Creed 3.
Rogue.
So Assassin's Creed 3.
No, yes.
So they're obviously it wasn't like the Templars were going to be the Klan. I think the Klan was just going to be a part of it because they were a part of that time. So I don't think that part was going to be a significant bit there. But yeah, so they said like, oh, it was canceled because of the backlash to Yasuke and all this stuff. But it's like, we've already had a black assassin. We had Edwale in Freedom Cry. Everybody loved Edwale, who was also just by happenstance in Black Flag. Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag.
We had Bayek, dude.
Yeah.
Who had
in Egypt. Yeah, people. Yeah. It's so this thing that people would be upset about a black protagonist is just not the case. And the fact that like you think people aren't going to be stoked at like taking out the Klan. You find me one person who didn't relish taking out that Klan meeting in Red Dead Redemption 2. Like whenever that was cathartic to like wipe out that. So it's like, we would have loved this. Gamers would have loved this game. A Civil War era, US based thing. Because let's be real, Assassin's Creed 3, obviously it was US based, but it just didn't have the same feeling because first of all, the areas that you were at were very sparse. Like there was a lot of like forested area. And then whenever you actually got to a town, they just weren't very big. They didn't feel alive. It just felt kind of hollow. Whereas Civil War era, obviously there would have been a lot more, a much bigger population, a lot more built out cities, a lot of stuff that they could have done. And I think it would have been great. So this is the dumbest thing. The game sounds like it would have been awesome. And Ubisoft just, again, learned the wrong lesson from an overabundance of feedback.
My real problem is putting 5 Assassin's Creed games within 100 years of each other. So we would have had Black Flag.
Times move fast.
We would have had Black Flag, Assassin's Creed 3, Assassin's Creed 4, Assassin's Creed Rogue, and Assassin's Creed Unity within 100 years of each other. And so it would beg the question from the fan base, can we move either forward or find another we can't move any further back now than Odyssey, because they established that was
that's how it was born.
The first blade. That was the first blade. So Let's move forward. Shit, man.
I mean, hey, that's like what we've been saying for. I mean, this is another thing. Yeah, we're going to bring it up again. We always talk about Black Flag turning into Skull and Bones whenever it should have been something awesome, and we always bring up the fact that we need modern settings for Assassin's Creed. You know how awesome, like people would actually dig the modern aspects of Assassin's Creed games if we were actually getting to do Assassin's Creed shit, or if they just set a game in the 80s or the 90s or the 60s or 50s, like something like that, where like a 1960s Assassin's Creed. I mean,
have it open with the JFK thing. That would be,
yeah, man, that would be amazing.
That would be outstanding opening mission.
So do something.
Or here's another thing too, and I couldn't help it when I played this to get this feeling, but the ambience and the architecture and the landscape and the weather and the lighting. When I played Deus Ex Mankind Divided, I thought, how cool would it be to have an Assassin's Creed game in this type of setting?
Like a futuristic.
Even Human Evolution, when I played that one, the one before Mankind Divided, I thought, man, how cool would it be to have a third-person Assassin's Creed game in this type of setting? So I don't know.
Well, that's the news. I still am just absolutely shocked by Ubisoft's ability to take very clear feedback and execute on it effectively. Where I'm like, the game that you canceled sounds awesome, and we would have played it. Everybody would have loved it. You have had Black protagonists before. This is nothing new. The whole issue was with Yosuke was not that he was Black; it's that he was it's that he was not Japanese.
Yeah,
so
that was it. I mean, everybody took it the other way, but yes, that was that. And so I almost, part of me is like, we can't do it because of Ghost of Tsushima. I really feel like that's part of the reason they went that direction. The other piece that bugged me about Yosuke is his severely little impact that he had on that time frame.
Well, or the fact that the other thing was that Yosuke was a fictionalized version of an actual person.
Yes.
And in previous games, you were a fictional character, period. And then you were interacting with these sort of fictionalized versions of actual historical figures, but you were never a historical figure yourself. That's the whole point. You're an assassin. People aren't even supposed to know you exist. Right. So it was a weird thing. I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking there, but yeah. Ubisoft, what are you doing? You canceled what could have been a really awesome game and a chance to make good on all the opportunities that you missed in Assassin's Creed 3 by making it one on American soil, when Assassin's Creed 3 just really it just fell short in a lot of ways. However, one thing that Assassin's Creed 3 did give us,
a good game.
What?
I still think it was a very good game.
It was good. It just felt like I said, it just felt like it was too. It felt like the fishbowl was too big for the lettuce leaf that they put at the bottom of it. You know,
I'm not gonna disagree with you on that. I also felt like we had to play as Hatham for far too long. I felt like Connor's grind was ridiculous at the beginning, but I love the story, and because it's really the only part of American history I enjoy is the beginning of our country.
Well, yeah, and it looked also the Connor's suit,
dude,
like the very American, like where you could see the influences, you could see the Native American influences on the suit. Like the suit was awesome. The getup was cool.
The tomahawk with the Assassin's Creed logo.
And of course, it was the first time that we got the sort of like water mechanics and stuff, which led to the crazy sea battles that we got to get into in Assassin's Creed 4. So it was very formative in getting us to the point that where we are now with the Assassin's Creed games. Like I said, it was a good game. It just felt like everything was too big, and then like whenever you got to when you got to a town, it just felt like it didn't feel very vertical. There just wasn't very much verticality. Everything was like tents or a little one-story building. Like you didn't get the same sort of sense of awe like you do in
Well, it was
What's the
hard
one
to
with the
do.
twins set in London?
Oh, Syndicate, dude.
Syndicate, thank you, that we both love. Like, it
Assassin's
doesn't
Creed
have that
Peaky
feel where you like
Blinders.
look there and you're like, oh, I could go up
Yeah.
here. It doesn't have that same sort of wow factor. And that was the only thing. I still enjoyed the game, but it was just didn't have that same thing. But yeah, I don't know. That's thing one is that Ubisoft just completely missed a golden opportunity on that. I think it would have been amazing. And speaking of, since you brought it up, since you mentioned the Ghost of Tsushima, I guess we could take this opportunity to just go into Ghost of Yotei really quick, because I do have I've played it a little bit, got a few small thoughts and things so far.
By the way, Jobo apologized for whipping your tail in your all's debate last week.
Well,
It's
I
important
saw
to
it
note that I
differently.
am just the messenger.
Everything was fine. No, we can have disagreements. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
I'm glad that he understands that he was wrong and I was right, and that we should have had Ghost of Tsushima too. I'm glad he came around. So, anyways, Ghost of Yotei
Okay.
was yeah, Ghost of Yotei. I've started playing it, and it's okay. So
Uh-oh.
no, yeah. So I like there's another
Raggy.
one of my favorite creators, that covers video games and stuff, Skill Up. He talked about Ghost of Yotei as well, and how he just was really underwhelmed by it. And he talked about how the gameplay was just the same, and that the story was just unimaginative, and that the puzzles and things like that in it were just not very inspired. Somebody said you were like, toddler level solutions to some of these puzzles, but that it looked amazing. And I am not going to be quite that harsh on it yet, especially since I've only just started the game. I'm not very far into it. But I will say, one thing that I'll give it whenever it comes to the play, like obviously the play is going to be very similar to Ghost of Tsushima, no doubt. But they do add some stuff. There are some additions to the combat. You can now throw things. So if you take somebody out, they can drop their sword. You can pick their sword up and use it as a projectile, and you can throw it at somebody. And that's kind of cool, where you can be surrounded by people, take one guy out, pick up their sword, throw it, behind you, take that guy out and do stuff. So it was very cinematic. They do, one of the changes that they make is that in Ghost of Tsushima, you had your sword. And that was, there was you had different, stars or this or that or smoke bombs and things like that you could do as well. But your main weapon was your sword, and that's what you had. You had your samurai sword, and that was it. Now, what you did have at your disposal whenever you fought people with other weapons was you had different stances. You would assume different stances, and you would use those stances.
I loved that, by the way. I hated it at first, and then I loved it.
Yeah, you would use those stances. You would change stances to counteract whatever weapon was coming your way. In this game, they did away with the multiple stances, and instead you have multiple weapons. So now you have different weapons for different weapons. So instead of different stances for different weapons, you have different weapons for different weapons. And so it's the same sort of like rock, paper, scissors kind of thing, where it's like, oh, this beats this beats this. But it's the weapon that you are going to be utilizing as opposed to stances. So I will say that I think the gameplay itself does have more variety than a lot of people are giving it credit for, and I enjoy that. The story is, of course, it's a revenge tale, and there's tons of games that are revenge tales. There's tons of movies that are revenge tales, and we love them. We love a good revenge tale. It's not about recycling something. It's how well the story is told. Now, like what we were saying last week, before either of us had played it, was just what we were already hearing, which was that a lot of people were saying it's basically a carbon copy of Assassin's Creed Shadows story. I don't know. I never played Assassin's Creed Shadows, but what I can say though is, now having played this story, it seems like a good setup for the revenge tale. But the big issue that I have with it right off the bat, so you are, Atsu, your family was murdered by the Yotei 6, and that's your whole thing. The whole thing for the game is you are going, and your mission is to kill all 6 members of the Yote 6. So you go out, and the tutorial of the game is you are walking into this this town, and there is a building at the back, and the whole tutorial is you killing one of the Yote 6. You show up, you go through, you get through a few of the peon guys, and then you fight the main guy, the snake of the Yote 6. And so now you are just out of the tutorial, and now the Yote 6 is the Yote 5. So that felt a little like disappointing to me. Like I would have preferred a bit more. You're muted.
Probably a good thing, because I was going to make a prick statement like that. Sounds really anticlimactic.
Yeah, it's like, like I don't, especially because like the snake was like really cool as well. He used, like, his whole thing was that each one has their own sort of thing, and his was using like poisons and that kind of stuff. And it was a really cool thing, and you literally beat him in the tutorial. So it's a bit of a bummer that they like use this really cool one, and you take him out immediately. Now you've got 5 people left. So, anyways. It seems interesting. There is one thing. So instead of poetry, the first one you would write haikus whenever you'd come to these points, and Jin would write haikus. Instead of that, you now draw images, draw pictures. But
I want my haikus back.
yeah. So the thing with the haikus was you could write the haikus. Like it gave you options.
Yeah.
But you would select these options. Each one, I think it was like 3 selections that you would make for what the lines would be. Yeah. And then he would read out his haiku. And here,
the funny thing was, I always played that as honest as I possibly could. Out of each choice we had, I was always like, this is how I feel today, so it's going to be this. And it ended up being some of the best shit I've ever, come up with. It was really good. It felt like it not only was Jin Sakai, but it was me.
It's cathartic.
Yes, absolutely. And sorry to interrupt you, but yeah.
No. You jump in, man. You jump in.
I like haiku. Haiku it's like the Twitter of the ancient world. You only have 140 characters, and you can't just get out there and get wordy.
Yeah. Well, and so this, you would hate this change, and I don't like it either. So haikus are gone. In their place, she's drawing pictures. Using the touchpad on the controller, but there's no options. You get to a point, she sits down, and it shows you like you're looking at essentially like a piece of sketch paper on the screen, and then you get a dotted line that makes a shape. You make that shape, and you just keep doing that. You don't get to choose what she draws. You don't get to like if you're sitting down and you can see a bird and a fox and whatever. You don't get to choose what she draws. She just draws whatever while she just narrates whatever she wants in her head. So you are basically just you're tracing these dotted lines on this touchpad just to forward her internal dialogue. You have no option whatsoever while it's going on. You're just simply literally following the lines, and that's it.
Why even include it then?
I don't know. Like that's what I thought too. Like that makes no sense. That takes the entire purpose for the haiku section out of it.
Not to mention, it takes a section where in Ghost of Tsushima, that was almost like a point of meditation. Like you just got finished with a big fight, or you worked your butt off to get to that location to write that haiku. So it was a moment of peace. And instead, what you're going to do is piss me off and give me no choice.
Well, yeah, and to your point, not only like whenever you did those haikus, there would be these options would show up on the screen, but it was always this like gorgeous scenery, like the light like coming through like the falling leaves of a tree with this really peaceful music, or like the a snow-covered rock by a babbling brook, like these really peaceful things. And now instead of actually seeing these really peaceful images, instead what you see, because you've got to trace the things, is you just see a white image over on the screen because you're looking at a sketch pad. Like it's I don't like it. And then in this image that you see here, where she's this sash that she's holding, that has all of the names of the Yote Six on it. And this was the I get that there is a touchpad on the PlayStation controller, and this touchpad is not on Xbox. It's not on Nintendo, and so for whatever reason, they think we got to find a creative way to use this touchpad, right? Like, no, the up, down, left, right, that swiping, that's good enough. That's good enough. So this little drawing thing, they also do it when so this sash, the beginning of the game, before you even get to do the tutorial. So you haven't even swung your sword yet. You haven't even drawn your sword in the game, and you have this long sash, and you are sitting by a campfire, and she pulls this sash up, and it's just white. And then that's how it first shows you this sort of dotted line thing where you got to trace this, trace this, trace this. And she's writing all 6 names of the Yote Six on this thing. So you have to trace each line to make form, if a kanji is like 8 lines, you have to do each line of that kanji to do that. And you have to do that for 6 names. So again, you have not even drawn your sword, and you're just like, can we please just move on? Like, this is like, just I understand that she is writing the names. Can we just move on? Like, why do I have to?
So she's Arya Stark with her list.
Yeah, which is cool. If you would not make me do it,
And I wanted to throw this up here because this is one of the scenes from the haiku in Ghost of Tsushima. So we went from this to that. Yes, excellent, good job. Yeah. Sick, dude.
Just like, yeah, let me stare at this sketch pad and follow these dots.
So far, man, you're really not selling this for me at all.
Well, let's say so. Basically, the thing is, like, I'm going to play it and I'm going to go through it, but it just doesn't have the same sort of compelling draw that the first one had. Obviously, the first one, you are thrown right into the midst of a massive battle. You are riding your horse along with hundreds of other people into this battle, and that's how it sort of introduces you to this world. And then, of course, it was this actual invasion scenario that actually happened in history. There's obvious stakes in there. You're on this island. They're trying to take over this island. So anytime, like, it makes sense why there are roaming,
bands of rebels.
Bands of these people that you've got to avoid. Whenever it's 6 drunks, it doesn't make any sense. Like, oh, I better avoid that group of 7 people. Like, well, I'm after the Yote 6 or 5 now. Like, why do I care about those? Why do those people even, like, why are all these people coming after me? Right? Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Like, why does anybody care what these drunk idiots did? It doesn't make any. I am unimpressed with the story. The gameplay is fun. Like I said, I think they did do some additions to the gameplay that are very fun so far. I've been enjoying that. I really like the ability to throw stuff. So I love that. Like, you have a fight, somebody drops their sword, you grab their sword, throw it at somebody else, that gets them in the chest. So I think that I will give them credit on the gameplay. But yeah, the story, it hasn't grabbed me yet. It hasn't grabbed me yet, but I'm going to play it to completion, but we'll just see what happens.
Okay.
So there are my thoughts.
I don't even have anything to say to that, really. I'm so deflated after your initial moments review that
okay, I'll make one more complaint. And this one's going to sound like a weird one. This is going to sound like a weird one, especially if there's people out there that are listening that have not played Ghost of Tsushima. But I think that the handling of your horse is too tight. When you are like it still has, these beautiful vistas, just like Ghost of Tsushima did,
Yeah.
And you're going through, you're galloping on your horse. There's flowers everywhere. And if you're galloping and you move to the right, that horse is like boom, like it is like a 90-degree angle, just it just cuts off, which on one hand, I can see why some people would like that because it's incredibly responsive. On the
Right.
other hand, it just kind of takes away from the scene that you're trying to like lose yourself in when it,
So it's jarring.
instead of seeing the horse kind of like, oh, do a nice little like, galloping, slow arcing turn. This thing is just like some of those like declassified UFO videos, man. It's just a bam, 90-degree angle. Like you should have been flying off ass over tea kettle off of that horse
Right.
the way that it cranked that 90-degree turn. So that's where also you don't get to name your horse, which was another thing in Ghost of Tsushima. You got to name your horse. You acquired a horse and you got to choose the name of your horse. And it told you what each name meant. So that name that you gave your horse had some significance to you throughout the course of the game. In this one, not only do you immediately do the tutorial and kill somebody from the Yote 6, making it the Yote 5 before you ever even get to ride your horse, you get the horse. Everybody's just looking at you like, is she going to take that horse? And you're like, yeah, I am going to take this horse. And I'm like, okay, this is where I get to choose my horse's name. And then she just takes the horse. My horse doesn't have a name. I literally rode in on a horse with no name now. So
you barely beat me to it. I was about to go there.
It's there. So yeah, so they took a lot of these like things that I think a lot of people might have overlooked or underappreciated from the first game, like what you said with the haikus and things like that. But there were other people that really appreciated those aspects and how thoughtful they were. And it just takes something away from it that now that they're not there. So yeah. Like I said, the gameplay is great. The story, it's not nearly as urgent or compelling as the first one, but okay, Jobo, I don't know, maybe spoilers. So he said they did something dumb where you get another horse very early, and I think you named that one. So perhaps I'll get another horse. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe she goes through so many horses that she's just learned that it's easier to accept the loss whenever you don't give it a name.
Right.
Like The Witcher and Roach.
I was going to say, like, I now to the point where if I name my horse, it's always Roach. Geralt had a very good point. It's just easier if it's always Roach.
It's like, hey, man, that's a solid plan.
Yeah.
So there you go. Again, these are early impressions. This is not my review. This is just what I'm feeling so far. Obviously, everybody knows I was very bitter that they didn't do a Ghost of Tsushima 2 because I really wanted Jin's story to continue. Just like Skull and Bones. That's another thing that I will often bring up. But like I said, I'm sure it's a great game. It's just it does feel a little bit different than the first one, and they made some choices that I wish that they hadn't. And I'm sure there'll be some choices that I think will be really cool. One thing that I did think was cool was whenever we killed the snake, even though it was during the tutorial, that whole sash that she has where all the names are listed. She holds that up and she pulls out the sword from the snake. Like the sword was in the snake's chest and she pulls it out and she wipes the blood across his name on her white sash. So that's how she's marking them off her list, is using their own blood to draw through their name. I'm like, that's cool. I like that.
So very much like Assassin's Creed, where they take the feather and dip it into the blood of the target they just killed, in a way.
Yeah. And Jobo says, I do agree with you on the story from what little I've seen. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's you can do good revenge stories. And I'm sure this one will have some really good components, but it's just not grabbing me so far. There's also some stuff where they kind of, instead of you learning some of the backstory, they flesh it out by you sort of reliving those past events, and it's not fun. You go to an area and you relive events as a little girl, and it just doesn't, because as
Right.
Jin, you're going through these things and you're learning these things or learning more detail kind of as you go through stuff, and there are some bits where you're young, but those are very short. Whereas this one, they can really be kind of drawn out and extended. But anyway, so yeah, there you go. Those are my early impressions. I know I've said I'm done, but now I think I'm really done.
So I just wanted to say, as the resident historian in this area, and this is something that I brought up with Jobo, that because you seem just as interested in that culture as I am or he is. If you have not watched this on Netflix, you are really missing out
I
because
have not.
it covers. It's a show. It's not a movie, and it covers all the really significant portions of what I call samurai Japan. So like it has, Nobunaga and the Tokugawa shogunate, and it covers the ninjas from Iga, and it covers the invasion of the Mongols in Tsushima. So it has the real history that you can kind of mix in with these types of games that people like playing, and whether it's Ghost of Tsushima or Assassin's Creed Shadows or what was one of the other one, Age of the Ronin or whatever that came out recently.
Oh yeah,
and
I think it was just something Ronin. Yeah.
something
On
like that. And
PlayStation.
then the Yakuza one that was actually set in the Meiji Restoration era of Japan, in the Edo period or whatever. So there's a lot. This is a really good show. It's really well done. They do a lot of reenactments of certain events that were.
Now, is this like a scripted drama, or is it a thing where they're like there's some sort of like historian narrating it, and then they like recreate?
There's both. It's like a
Okay.
docudrama. If you saw Age of Rome,
I did
same
not.
thing. Okay, well, it's the same thing. It's
Try
like a
again, Jay.
It's a docudrama.
Find
So there's
something I've
some
seen.
documentary parts with college professors and historians, and then there's the reenactments using actors for, like I said, various and sundry.
I assume
events.
they do it at a higher level than your typical like History Channel sort of like.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, these are well done. These are we spared no expense.
It is Netflix after all.
Yeah. Welcome to Samurai Park. So anyway, it's pretty good, man. You should check it out.
All right, I'll have to give that a watch. So yeah, we've already spent like 45 minutes on just those two things, but yeah, you go ahead and hit your stuff, man.
I don't. At this point, can you pull up the Q branch?
Sure.
Sorry, folks. I'm a true Bond fan, so I pronounce it Omeega. It's the Q branch Omeega watch trailer. It's very short. We got it this week. Basically, anytime we get, I don't care if it's 10 seconds. If we get something from the Bond game, it's
yeah.
Gonna be
We are very excited about the upcoming Bond game here at Hardcore Casual.
So I think we're gonna. Are we? Yeah, we got sound for this one, right?
Yep.
All right, so we're gonna shut up and unless we pause it, but we're gonna shut up and just.
Well, let me know if you need to pause it.
Okay.
I've set your watch to field mode. It has a variable active range and a 360 reach angle. Why don't you give it a try?
I like it. Don't change a thing.
Oh,
So
there you go. Got some exclusive outfits even here.
Oh wow.
Now the sort of like voodoo themed one here.
Yeah, that was from Spectre.
that feels very Hitman-esque.
Well, that was the one that Daniel Craig wore in Spectre.
Yes.
And then the Navy suit is probably Goldeneye. It could be a couple of different ones, but it's probably Goldeneye.
I believe this one here is Casino Royale, with the button down, looks like linen shirt.
I also love the Walther compact. Looks like a 40 cal. It looks awesome. But wow, they really spared no expense on the early access. We only 24 whole hours.
I love that we have a we have a
earbuds,
gold-plated earbuds. Like,
gold-plated Beats by Dr. Dre.
Like when do you ever see? When will we ever see James Bond's earbuds in the game? I don't know, but I guess they'll be gold-plated when we do.
I don't know.
But okay, so now you being into the, I guess the Omeega thing, you sound like you're a fan of the watches themselves as well. So
yeah,
tell me your thoughts here.
So, the Omeega watch and James Bond is almost as synonymous as the Aston Martin. and bottles of scotch. But we've had where the watch played no role in the movies. We had the Daniel Craig movies where we tried to get away from gadgets, which I was all for. I thought
I
it fit
appreciated that
it
about
fit
it.
that vibe. It
Yeah.
fit that vibe for the story they were trying to tell. But again, it was Eva Green's character, Vesper Lynd in Casino Royale. He's like, your watch is beautiful. What is it? And she's like, a Rolex. And he's like, no, an Omeega. And she's like, of course, kind of thing. And then we've had the Roger Moore Omegas where like you pulled the turn dial out and it was a blasting cap and you shoved it into the other side of the watch and it was an explosive. Pierce Brosnan had a laser beam, a cutting beam. Yeah. That he could use on his,
it's got to be rough on the battery.
Yeah. So just the brand's connection to that franchise, I think, is awesome. And the fact that they're giving us some functionality within the game. One of the things I was hoping for, even if we didn't have those kind of things in the watch, was that our HUD would be completely on the watch. So
that would be cool. So yeah.
You
so
had to pull your watch.
It'd be like a diegetic kind of a hub where it's like, hey, it makes sense within the game. Yeah, you could just do that. That would be a cool thing.
Yeah, I think that would be really neat because I think, unlike a lot of game franchises, and this is more of a book and movie franchise, but this is one where it's cinematic, and I think it should be, and that should be reflected in the game without a really super intrusive HUD. But again,
Uncharted
like I said,
was really good with that.
Yes, loved the way Uncharted did that. But again, every piece of information we get on this game is you guys are going to get it from us on Thursdays. I guarantee it. And so as we move forward now, we've had the really good gameplay segment we got where it was a no commentary. And then we had a commentary segment where they kind of talked through a lot of the moves. The car chases look freaking intense and vibrant. The world, while very Hitman-ish, at least on the infiltration part, and that's not a bad thing. I think that's why IO Interactive got the job.
Oh yeah.
Still looks every bit a James Bond movie. And I just love their attention to detail and their desire to stay passionate with the material, which I'm guarantee Amazon's not going to do. But
yeah, we can talk about that once we're done with this too. But
yeah, and we can segue right into that if you want, because I don't have anything. But if you do, that'd be great. Except I'm probably going to get pissed. But I feel like the game is going to be our only outlet.
Yeah, and that they just mentioned. So I just read an article. It was maybe today or yesterday. I don't know, with the whole house stuff, everything, all the days blend together.
Yeah.
But the team said that they were only interested in doing a James Bond game if they got to do an origin story. They said that, like,
yes,
they said we had no interest in pushing pixels to try to make Pierce Brosnan look as good as we could. Like, they're like, we don't want to, boldly go where somebody's already gone. We wanted to start something, make it our own thing. And I think that's great. And I think I think it's what we all wanted. I don't think anybody wanted them to just pick up and go with what had already been established. I don't know what we were expecting, but I was so thrilled whenever we found out that it was, in fact, an origin story. You're not even 007 yet. You are earning that you will start the game as just James Bond and you will end the game as 007. And
just a commander fresh out of the Navy, man.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. And like you said, they went through, they want to do their own stories, their own origins, all that stuff, put their own spin on it, but they're remaining very loyal to it, even to the point of brands. So like I said, like the Omeega watch or the Aston Martins or all these different things. There's so many of these little things, these like iconic logos, brands, whatever, and they are keeping all those things. So while doing their own thing, they're still making it very, very Bond.
And it's not even about the brand. It's about the fans' connection to this franchise over 50 years, man, that we expect those things, and the fact that they're giving them to us is outstanding. I never will forget when Pierce Brosnan was in Goldeneye. He never had an Aston Martin. They introduced it, they had Felix Leiter's character drop off when they were in Cuba or whatever, drop off a BMW Z3 and we were all just pissed off and butthurt, man. We're like, dude, come on. Very next movie though, Aston Martin right off the bat. So
Yeah, they learned that lesson real quick.
yeah.
So I guess to roll in, we're not done with the games yet. We're just tying this in because it ties in so perfectly with 007. So we'll touch on this little media thing with like, as you mentioned, the Amazon version of James Bond. But yeah, they over the last week got into a little bit of controversy because they released, obviously now that they own James Bond, they have all of the previous James Bond movies. And so they had, the banners and posters and all that stuff
Shit,
for all the James Bonds, and they removed all of the guns from all of the promotional material. So everything was the same. Like, it would be like Sean Connery with his arms crossed holding the Walther, and then the Walther would just be photoshopped out. And so it's just Sean Connery standing like this for no reason whatsoever. It was awful, and the people were like, "Hey, not cool." And then then they got rid of the promotional material, these classic posters and all that stuff, and they replaced it with screen grabs from the actual movie, and edited the guns out of those. And
I thought that was fake. With Daniel Craig with the finger guns.
Well, they didn't in the movie. They were still there, but for the still shots, so instead of these posters, like whenever you go to the movie and it'll have like the backdrop. So instead of these promo posters, they removed those, replaced them with screenshots from the actual movies, but still removed the guns from the screenshots. So it's like,
wow, it's
James Bond. You can't remove the guns or the weapons from James Bond, even in promotional posters. That's so stupid. If you're afraid to have guns be displayed, then don't buy James Bond. Like, don't make this movie. Don't make this series. Like, if you want to shy away from weaponry and violence, maybe you should have bought a different franchise than James Bond. Just throwing it out there. So that was the whole thing with Amazon. And as you and I have already said, we have no faith whatsoever in Amazon and what they will do to the series. I have no doubts in my mind that it's going to be an absolute nightmare. So I'm sure they will bastardize everything.
This is actually better than the actual ones that they made. The ones they actually made don't even have the radios.
Yeah. They're just that was the one I was thinking of in the upper left-hand corner there with Sean Connery, where it's like, it's like that, and for no reason. It's just there's nothing there. And it's like, why are you doing that? Why are you standing that way? So
decided to hold my hand up.
Yeah, just hanging out. So there's that. So what else you got?
So other than that, I had, let's see. Yeah, we got to talk about this. This is and we had the Xbox discussion last week with the price hikes, and then of course we had some AI posted stuff where they were walking back the price hikes, and those were fake. But then we got news about all the people that stayed with the subscription, their price wasn't going to go up, or they were going to get a discounted rate. And then we find out that's only for select markets, which doesn't include the United States, where the Xbox originates from. So of course, let's help out our people across the pond, but not our very own people in our backyard.
I love that they blame it on tariffs as well.
Yeah, of course.
They're like, oh yeah, it's on tariffs. Like, oh, your completely non-tangible electronic product is because of tariffs.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Got it. Right.
So then they doubled down on the fuckery this week with. So anybody that's had Game Pass knows when you go, actually, don't just go to the Game Pass section. If you go to the store, you get discounts on everything. DLC, full games. It's always at least 10% off. Those are gone. Now they've decided to just give us more reward points. And, if you have even a fourth grade understanding of economics, basically what they're doing is they're keeping your money in their pool instead of in your pool. So instead of you, on a $50 game, you saving 20%, which is $10, and that $10 is still in your bank account. Now you're paying for it, and they're giving you reward points that stay in their pool because you can't cash those reward points in.
They're the county fair now, or the state
Yeah.
fair. Like
Yeah.
you give us money, we'll give you tickets, and then
Yes.
you can buy hot dogs with those tickets as long as they're within our gates.
Yes, but our hot dogs only come 8 in a package and 10 in the bun thing or whatever. So anyway, let's not even get started on that disaster. And I'd like to say Xbox was the first people that thought of keeping your money in the rotating bin, but they're not. Game stores have been doing it forever. GameStop does the thing where you only get, if you trade a game in, you can get sometimes 50, 60% in store credit. But if you try to sell it, you maybe get a third. And anybody that's been to college knows the college textbook extortion racketeering scheme,
dude,
has been around forever. And folks, I graduated from college in 1998, so that ought to tell you something. But even back then, if you sold your book back to the bookstore, you got 10% of its original purchase price. But if you traded it in, and got credit, you got 50.
I remember, like paying like $400, $500, $600 for a single book.
Yes.
Trading it in, getting $30 for it. But then it's like, okay, well then I'll just, if it's $600, then I just won't buy a new one. I'll buy a used one. Oh, used one's $550. Like the same thing that they just gave you $30 for. They were GameStop before GameStop was doing it, man. And they're still doing it.
And I like to use textbooks. I felt like Harry Potter and Half-Blood Prince, where I've got all the notes in the margins, and it helped me do that kind of stuff, except for I never got to do Sectum Sempra on anybody. But
you're gonna have to tell people why you've got Harry Potter on the brain.
Yeah, and I will. I'm back into Hogwarts Legacy and this has to do with Xbox. So once Xbox Game Pass decided to raise the prices, they dropped 45 games into our lap, one of which was Hogwarts Legacy. And I had played it through twice, once as a Gryffindor. And
I have not completed my playthrough yet.
Named Percival Rook was my character's name as a Gryffindor. And once as Declan Wood, my Slytherin character.
I also have a Gryffindor and a Slytherin character.
And, well, I mean, that's where you go. My Hufflepuff character's name is Hugh Direction. But anyway, so I've played it through, but I never got to play it on PC. And of course, if you've played through that game or played any of that game at all, there's some annoyances. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to play modded. And I went to, they've got, like Baldur's Gate, they've got in-house mods on the PC one, so you can just go straight to it. And they create a copy of your legit save and turn it into a modded save, so you can still go back and play your legit one if you want. But like, I have no spell cooldowns turned on, so I don't even have to wait. I'm casting Avada Kedavra whenever I want.
You're just killing people willy-nilly.
I'm trying. Like, I have a, because you had the radial wheel where you had 3 or 4 different sets of spells. I've got my standard little offensive spell set, and then I've got my You're Going Down spell set, which is great. But I also downloaded the Ralph Fiennes voice pack from the movies, so that when I let out the Avada Kedavra, you can hear it in 2 counties, which is great. But I can fly in Hogsmeade. I can fly inside of Hogwarts if I want. Just a lot of cool stuff that really annoyed me about playing through it the first time. Also, a lot of cool extra content that we never got that have been user created, dungeons and different new places to go.
Oh, so that'd be cool.
I can go to Azkaban. I can get in trouble and get sent to Azkaban, and it turns it into a quest to escape Azkaban.
See, that sounds fun.
Yeah. So anyway, so I'm having a little fun with some of the Xbox screwiness that's going on right now, but I miss out on my discounts already, even though I was more of a free title guy.
Yeah, well, the only thing I would add to that is whenever it comes to the Xbox situation, a lot of people are kind of saying like this. Now we know, like, this is Xbox admitting the true cost of Game Pass, because for a long time we've been like, oh, this is such a crazy good deal. This is the Netflix of video games. Like, how can they do this? Well, they do it by losing money. That's how they do that. And And they kept going. Now, don't get me wrong. I am not playing the fiddle for Xbox. Like, oh, poor guys. They have a market cap of $4 trillion. Like they're fine. They could lose money, but so this is essentially the true cost of Game Pass, and maybe even more. Or they would like to charge more. But again, the whole thing is that to go from one price to the next with just immediately a 50% price hike is just insane. Even if it is more true to what your expenses are, you just don't do that. It's a bad deal. So yeah, not a fan. Still think it sucks. But yeah, this is Xbox admitting that, okay, yeah, it's not a magic trick. We were just losing money.
We actually are screwing people. So but yeah, and I mean, it is what it is. It's not going to change. If anything, it's going to get even more in the coming years, probably, as the cost of living continues to increase. But moving on, dude, we got a couple of, I'm calling them decently large game releases this week, and basically on the same day. One of them is Battlefield 6, which is being billed as the Call of Duty killer, which is fine with me because I think Call of Duty's been dead for a long time. PlayStation has decided to back Battlefield 6 and all their promotional material for the holidays instead of Call of Duty.
Well,
came out today.
Of course.
Battlefield 6 ran a great commercial last week where they had Zac Efron and Morgan Wallen, I guess, is a country singer, and some UFC guy that I'd never heard of, where it had them walking down the street in with all their flair and shit that you normally get on Call of Duty. And then right before Zac Efron gives an order to move out, they get blown up, and 4 hardcore looking soldiers in mil-spec gear walk up, and one of them's like, "Who was that?" And it's like, "Who cares, man? Let's move out." And just Battlefield's way of saying, we're getting back to what you guys want, which, unlike Ubisoft, EA Dice at least has decided to listen to its fan base. The beta numbers don't lie. From what I understand, the single player campaign is an absolutely epic cinematic experience.
Well, I think they also smell blood in the water with Call of Duty. I mean, with Xbox struggling and just losing favor, and nobody trusts. I mean, Call of Duty kind of been waning for a while, where it's just kind of felt repetitive and repeated. But now I think with Xbox losing their goodwill, I think that Battlefield is smelling blood in the water, and they're doing a full court press to try to win, because there was a time when Battlefield was the preferred over Call of Duty, and I think they are. I think they see that within reach again.
Yeah, and I think this will be the one that does it for them. I mean, the pre-order numbers alone were staggering. Battlefield versus Call of Duty, and then on top of that, basically any conceivable metric that a game is rated. Now, this is 2 games that aren't out yet. One comes out tomorrow, one comes out in October, but a sufficient amount of content creators that have got to play decent final builds of both games, are back in Battlefield as well, which is good news for everybody. Also, EA, or Dice, not quitting on it before it even launches by saying, "Hey, we've heard your feedback in the beta, and we're not ruling out naval warfare." So that would be crazy, because that would be something new.
Well, that's one thing I think that they also have an advantage with not doing these yearly releases like Call of Duty does. Yeah. Where, the support for any given Call of Duty is very short post-release. And then the next year, the next one comes out, and now, okay, we'll keep the servers on for this one, but now all the updates are going towards this one. Whereas, Battlefield, they have a much longer spread, and so their support is going to have a much longer tail, and they're going to be doing a lot more stuff, a lot more post-release updates, and they're going to be able to be a lot more responsive than Call of Duty. So I think that's going to play very heavily in their favor as well.
And I agree with you. And then the other big game that's launching tonight at 11/tomorrow for people that can't stay up past 11. Is
hey man,
NASCAR.
I work.
I know. So do I, buddy. NASCAR 25. So for all you, hot dog quaffling, beer swilling, hard-blooded American people that like racing and like stock car racing, we haven't had one, Lord knows, in so long. It's probably been 12 years since Heat 5, it's been a long time. And at least even Heat 5 wasn't considered great. But and don't even get me started on NASCAR 21 Ignition. It was terrible. But this one is made by iRacing. It's iRacing's first ever console release. It's going to have all 4 disciplines. So you got the ARCA series, which, some of those guys are building cars out of their garage. And you got the truck series, and then the Xfinity, which is like right under the NASCAR Cup, and then the actual NASCAR guys. I know it was something that me and Chad and another buddy from the Fuel Pod, we pre-ordered it as soon as they announced it. So
that was one thing I was going to ask, given that you do have the Fuel Pod, an F1 focused podcast. So given that this is NASCAR, like, where does this rank on your level of excitement versus F1? Like, how much of? I mean, I know that you've been to, you've gotten press passes and stuff like that on actual NASCAR events, but where does it sort of like rank? Are you as excited as you would be with like an F1 release, or?
So NASCAR for me is weird. I love it. I felt like the sport for about 20 years they went in the wrong direction, where it was all about money and making all the cars the same. And American culture is not like that. We're not a one spec culture. We're all about, hey, we figured it out and you didn't, and you're screwed, and we don't care. We don't care. We're gonna, we're gonna run you into the wall. We're gonna run you down the pit lane. You're gonna roll. You're gonna flip it, and I don't care. On the flip side of that, you've got the European forms of racing where it's all about clean racing, and I like that too. I like the discipline of that because it's a lot harder to pass 2 or 3 cars on the outside when you're not allowed to touch them. It takes more talent, I think, in a lot of ways. But, as an American, I want NASCAR to succeed. It's our bread and butter for racing. IndyCar's catching up, but it's going to be a long way off. And, NASCAR is loved by so many millions of fans. And it's amazing the amount of content creators and people that got involved with the making of this game, and even drivers that iRacing brought in and said, hey, want you to spend the day driving this game and tell us what doesn't work. Try to break it. Tell us what's unrealistic. And they're using all the cars are laser scanned. All the tracks are laser scanned down to each piece of gravel. So whatever you feel on that track, they feel on race days. So that's going to be a really cool thing. So just looking for, and the fact that it's iRacing, dude, they got the best product on the planet.
So are you cautiously optimistic or just optimistic, period? You're confident that this will be?
Well, here's my thing though. I have been burnt by not only this genre of racing, but the games based on this genre of racing for a very long time. And so have a lot of people. So I think everybody's going into it with cautious skepticism, actually.
So it's kind of like it's not so much thing like, oh, hey, we're finally getting a new one. It's one of those things where it's like, show me what it's like, and then we'll see. Like, let me see it first. Like, let put it out there and let's see what the response is.
Yeah, I mean, used to when these games would come out, we just accepted on faith it was going to be good, and then they started getting shitty.
Like
and
Marvel.
Now we're like Doubting Thomas here. We're like, man, I'm Missouri, buddy. You're gonna have to show me. I'm gonna have to see something before So
NASCAR 25 is Avengers Doomsday.
I guess so. If
where
that's the one that's supposed to be good.
Yeah, that's the one that they're working on right now. That's supposed to save the Marvel universe. Where it's like, no, we've been burned. This stuff sucks now. So it's all on you to make us change our minds. Because we want to love you.
They've got drivers that they're not making any money off of this. They've got drivers saying this is the best thing they've ever played as far as NASCAR related material. So I put a lot of stock in that because NASCAR drivers usually they're not going to pull any punches. If they don't like it, they'll be like, yeah, that shit sucks. So, I'm kind of interested to see what happens.
All right. And did you, about The Expanse, did you want to get into that?
Yeah, we can just throw that up, and I want to talk through. There's only a couple, 2 or 3 talking points that I want to hit, and we can go from there. But we don't need audio on this one. So and thank you to Mr. Fight Monster 118. This guy is a data mining fool on this game. Constant communication with Owlcat, and constant, like I said, he's a data miner pulling stuff out. We're going to try to pull it. Some of this footage you've seen before. Some of it was from Gamescom. If you're astute, you'll see some new stuff in here. But one of the biggest things with the newest trailer that came out, gameplay wise, from Owlcat, was that the Mass Effect music was gone, and they actually have their soundtrack. And I thought it was funny to find out they actually were using unreleased Mass Effect tracks.
Man, they're really leaning into this whole last hope for Mass Effect vibe.
This is our Mass Effect right here, buddy. I'm just going to tell you right now.
I mean, it's clearly going to be our last shot, man.
Yeah. But, he was talking about that, a couple other pieces of information. I thought it was weird. There's no melee. No melee.
Like right now, or they will never have melee in the game?
They're saying never. There's not going to be a melee. They're going to have close quarter builds with like shotguns and pistols, but not melee. So I don't understand how that works if an enemy gets, even the AI, the way the AI works or the way the algorithm works. What if he gets in close? I mean, are you still just popping him under the chin with a shotty, or?
Yeah, I am. I do wonder. I wonder if that's some sort of like limitation they're just trying to like work around, or
they're saying there's no melee fisticuff wise, but you can still freaking like butt stroke somebody with a weapon.
I'll say that would be fine, because that was the same thing in Mass Effect. Like, you couldn't like punch anybody unless it was
that's
that
what
reporter
they said
in the Presidium. But yeah, if you could still like hit somebody with the butt of your gun or something like that with a melee attack.
And I think that's what they mean. But everybody loves the music. Although once the new music came out, everybody was like, this sounds like Mass Effect, which if you watch the television show, The Expanse, there's a lot of Mass Effect-y type sound effects and music in there.
I will say one thing, just completely unrelated, really quickly. Just a compliment. I did not pay Ghost of Yotei earlier. The soundtrack is phenomenal. It's actually a step above Ghost of Tsushima. So I will say Ghost of Yotei's soundtrack is phenomenal. Sorry, go ahead.
And dude, that's important to me though. So that's awesome. That's good to know. Apparently, and this is for the people that this is important to, but you can't romance everyone on your crew.
Boo.
Yeah. So, whatever. I usually just pick the hottest one and go for
it.
But also that all your classes, it's a class-based game. So you'll have to come up with a build at the very beginning.
So again, like Mass Effect.
Yeah. So are you tech and dude, to me, when I heard this, it's weird because part of me felt like I always knew it was going to be that type of game. But then thinking of it from The Expanse, I'm like, dude, having Naomi Nagata's skills would be pretty cool, but she's worthless in a fight.
And do you get to? I remember, like, I know that we talked about a little bit about what we knew at the time, where it's like the twins, and you have to pick one or the other and all that. But do you get to choose like whether you're like, a Martian, whether you're a Belter, whether you're okay? You do, okay.
Yeah, so you do get to do that, and as far as I know, even if you choose Belter, you can choose which part of the belt you came from. Are you Ganymeter type of guy? Are you Ceres or?
See, I love. Man, this looks so good. Like whenever they die, and then they just kind of like float there. Oh, dude, I'm so looking forward to this game.
There's some new scenes and it's towards the end of this video though, that shows some new shots of Ganymede, how terraced and layered all the greenhouses are, which I think is really cool.
They showed some that were where you could see some of the greenery and stuff earlier.
Yeah, and I love the fact that they're going with a plot line. Obviously, it's proto-molecule there, with a plot line that's within the confines of the show. Here's the part nobody's gonna like, and I saved this one for last as far as tidbits of info. A 2026 release is not likely, according to the devs.
Yeah,
and this is where I'm also going to be cautiously optimistic as a PC guy now that I'll maybe get early access before that. So hopefully,
But
Fingers
this
crossed.
goes back to like, would we like it to, like with GTA 6, would we like to get it sooner? Absolutely. But would I rather them delay it
Yeah,
and give us a finished game versus releasing it sooner and having Cyberpunk 2077 on launch? Like
yeah,
like if it needs more time in the oven, let it cook. That's fine. Like it sucks like that. We'll have to wait, but we would rather have a finished product, especially something like this that's clearly insanely ambitious
yeah,
for this, it's the first attempt at this sort of action RPG from the Expanse. So this is Owlcat. Is this going to be their first game that'll be available on console as well?
No, all their Warhammer and
Oh, that's right. They've done some of the Warhammer games. That's
Pathfinder.
right.
This will be their first game like this.
The
Period.
action RPG.
Yeah. So.
And yeah, man, but everything just looks so good, especially again, like us fans of Mass Effect that have been starved for good Mass Effect and anything BioWare really for the last 3 releases. So of BioWare games, so to have this, man, I'm looking forward to it, and it's great sci-fi. It's one of those. It's it's the kind of sci-fi where it doesn't take much to suspend your disbelief and kind of like see yourself in it. I love those kinds of settings where there's not, it's not something like Star Trek where you have a whole bunch of different aliens and stuff on the ship where it's like I don't know. It's a vibe that I'm excited to get to revisit again.
This shot here is a new belter pistol they've designed / SMG that they've designed for the game, which I think is cool looking. A little bit reminiscent of the Vector Chris, but still a very cool looking weapon. And
Clearly
there's the shot
to be dual wielded.
There's the shot I wanted to tell you of the new terrorist Ganymede shot that they've come up with, which I think is really, really neat. And I'm wondering if any plot lines from the show are going to make it into the game. I'm hoping they do.
I would wager that yes, because obviously, like like you mentioned, the proto molecule, which will tie in.
Rifle.
Which will tie into the show. I think it's better for them to tie. I'm sure they'll tie things in from the books, obviously, but I think it behooves them to service more heavily the things that also appear in the show because there are likely more people that have watched the show than have read the books.
Oh, of course, yeah, man. I think that's necessary. I wonder if they'll go so far, and I know this is stupid, but if they'll go so far as when you walk into a ship or a building where you have to do your mag boot thing, the little click your heels.
They showed it.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
they showed that they were like, they showed the guy's like feet like hovering, and then he clicked his heels and dink, like the
that's cool, man.
Yeah,
that's
so they absolutely did include that.
Yeah, that's way cool.
Super excited for that game.
My last game thing that I have before we move on to other well, nope, it's not a game thing. It's a TV thing, unless you want to do our super cool category thing, or if we're doing that.
We can do the category thing at the end.
Okay, that's fine. So go for it, man. I know you got TV.
On there first. I was just the only one I had was just it was going to be just a quick thing. I was just going to talk about Monster.
This creepy as F, dude.
The Ed Gein story. Have you watched any of it?
No, I watched the trailer, and when I saw Charlie Hunnam, I was like, "Holy crap!" And I love how they made the parallels to Psycho and to Leatherface. I thought that was cool.
So I love Charlie Hunnam. I think he's a great actor. I was super excited whenever I found out that he was going to be playing in. I think he's also very underrated. I think a lot of people don't realize the range that he has. So I was super excited for this one. I'm a big fan of the Monster series that Netflix has been doing. And this one was obviously very interesting, very disturbing, but super interesting. Big fan of the series, like Charlie Hunnam, all those things. And I am sad to report that I don't care much for this season of Monster. Have you watched any of the Monster series?
No, dude, I didn't even know it was a series until just.
Oh yeah.
Literally, I was today Netflix, years old.
Yeah, so they have Dahmer, where they did the whole thing is following Dahmer and his whole thing. Then they have one for the Menendez brothers and their whole thing, and then they have this one. And the reason that this one does not quite scratch the same itch for me whenever it comes to the series is like whenever it was about Jeffrey Dahmer and whenever it was about the Menendez brothers, it was uh, a very dramatic show about their thing. It was meant to be like a movie kind of a thing, like a pretty standard way of looking at it. It's hard to describe. But basically, this one is not that. So I get what they were doing, especially after listening to some of the interviews and stuff that they've done outside of the show for promotion. But because they talk about how it's in those interviews, they talk about how Ed Gein was really kind of what changed America's interest. So before America was interested in the monster from the Blue Lagoon or this or that, these actual monsters that were make believe, these crazy sci-fi whatever things. And then it was Ed Gein and his story that influenced things like Hitchcock's Psycho or Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and had these influences on these things where we were now the monsters, people were now the monsters, and that influenced that sort of push in movies after Hitchcock did Psycho. So this show, you get to see Charlie Hunnam as Ed Gein, and I enjoy most of that stuff. But then they'll also do things where they will cross over, and then it's the show and you're watching Alfred Hitchcock and he's making Psycho. And it shows him going through his whole process of making Psycho, a dramatized version of him making Psycho, or a dramatized version of, like, now you've got actors playing, the guy that did Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and he's going through, and it's him making the movie to show how Ed Gein influenced these guys. But it just felt weird. Like it takes some of the gravity out of the story to have that aspect of it. I just didn't care for that aspect of it. And then there was another bit that I can kind of understand what they were doing, but I still didn't like it. And so Ed Gein was schizophrenic, and he would hear his mother's voice. And they cover that. And I think the way that they do that is fine, where the way that he hears his mother's voice and his delusions with his mother and that kind of stuff, where they sort of represent it as him seeing her as still being there. I think that stuff was still pretty standard, and I think that would have been okay. But they go way out, especially the last 2 episodes. They go so far out there with where he never had these kinds of delusions. Like, he never spoke of these kinds of delusions where he's having conversations with these figures that he was influenced by, like this comic book character, where they have these things. And so I get what they're trying to do in these last couple episodes, is like they're trying to show him and sort of like him rationalizing his way through what he had done and coming to grips with it. But it just doesn't work for me. It just doesn't work. So I think all these like cutaways and these add-ins that they do that aren't real, and they're like this artistic kind of flair to it, I don't know. I feel like it took some of the gravity away from it. And so, yeah, unfortunately, as much as I love the Monster series, as much as I love Charlie Hunnam, I just didn't like this show. So there you go. That's all I wanted to say about it. Unfortunately, I was super excited, and unfortunately, I was super disappointed.
Yeah, I don't really do shows like this. I did like Mindhunter. I thought that was a really good show.
That was great.
I like the factual deep dive from the law enforcement end.
Yes, and that's what was so interesting about Monsters. It took that same sort of very serious approach and analytical approach to everything, and all this stuff was very fact-based kind of thing. There wasn't these things where you're walking through someone's supposed
fever dream.
Yeah, I just didn't care for that side of it. So yeah, like the Mindhunter kind of a vibe was, that's what I like about what they'd done with the previous ones.
Well, I hate to totally piss in your cornflakes even more, but Netflix actually has the trailer and thumbnail up for Splinter Cell Death Watch.
Ugh.
And when you
the one that
watch,
you successfully made me unexcited for last week.
yeah. So, and I'm still super excited about this. I want it to succeed because of something you said last week, where you thought maybe they can go back since it's animated and be able to make a younger. Okay, that's cool, but the Netflix trailer, the one that's on Netflix, where you just highlight something you want to watch, and it after a couple seconds it starts a trailer. It shows the new young girl doing all of the goggles and stealth work and gunplay, and then he's kind of like comes in to save her every now and then, but most of his look like it was like pop out of a truck and shoot a guy or come around the corner and snap a dude's neck, which we had already suspected.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said last week, he's not doing a split S across two walls. And
65-year-old just doing the Jean-Claude Van Damme thing between the walls.
That's not going to happen. And I get that. I realize that ship has sailed for both me and for this character at this age. In fact, he probably shouldn't have been doing it based on the lore. He probably shouldn't have been doing it in the last two games at 52 and 54 years old. But here we are.
But still impressive. Very limber. Very nice.
Yeah. But I have a feeling he's sliding into the support role, which I'm not a huge fan of. That's why I was a big fan of what you said. And I hope they do use the animated platform as a way to go back and, give us some other stories instead of just making it a continuation of this story. So, and of course, I'm judging a book before I've even opened the cover.
Yeah, I think that would be such a waste, though, to like start this is the first time they're doing this. This is the first outing for this, this animated representation of Sam Fisher. If the whole thing was right out of the gate, you replace Sam Fisher, like it just seems like such a bad choice.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, that's already happened. Like right out of the gate, I could tell one
of
the scenes.
It just makes no sense to me. Where it's like, okay, season 2, now Sam's dead.
Yeah, I know. And guess who made this game? Ubisoft.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Well,
and the hits just keep on coming.
And just again, making the wrong decisions based off of overwhelming feedback. We have not gotten another Splinter Cell game in years and years and years because they refuse to listen.
Now they're just going to say it's because of the feedback on Yasuke that they're not doing another Splinter Cell game.
Yeah.
So anyway, that being said, while we're still on Netflix, there was a show that was on Paramount Plus, and the name of this show was Halo. And unlike the other 278 million people that live in this country, I enjoyed the show because I didn't go into it with the preconception that it was going to be the game as a TV show. I absolutely am a huge fan of Pablo Schreiber, whatever you want to call him, and a couple of the other actors. Natasha McElhone, I like her a lot too, and she plays Dr. Catherine Halsey. And while the first season was certainly slower paced than I liked, the second season was lights out fantastic. Anyway, the show gets canceled by Paramount Plus, and Netflix says, "Not today, girlfriend," and they buy the show. So they are currently producing the third season of Halo. I look forward to a better budget because Paramount Plus doesn't have very good budgets for their TV shows.
I don't know, man. After seeing Altered Carbon season 2, Netflix isn't always pouring money on either.
Let me rephrase. Netflix, when they're interested in some of their own material, has a really good budget. But when they're trying to kill it, you're getting Big Lots costumes. I'm just telling you. And Big Lots is out of business.
You're getting Spirit Halloween budget.
Yeah. So, wow. Oh, that was good. That was a nice little zinger. So anyway, they're filming the third season, and original cast obviously is back. And while they're doing that, they got rights now to stream the show on Netflix. So it is available both on Netflix and Paramount Plus for some reason. But I'd have figured the contract would have canceled one of them. But anyway, it's out there to watch. I'm doing a rewatch of it because I enjoyed it.
I will have to go back and watch it, finish it.
I also like Bokeem Woodbine. I always have. It's just something about that guy. I feel like he really hits what he's trying to do. Even if it's not well written character, I feel like he nails it. So anyway.
I'll have to give it another try. I hated that from episode 1. Like episode 1, Master Chief is a war criminal, and we see his face, and what it's just like this is I hate it. I hated it so much. So
that was my favorite part of the first episode was him taking his helmet off. I was like, thank you, Jesus. Quit making this an Ark of the Covenant style thing where he has to have his helmet on all the time.
I don't think that he has to have it on, but like at least tease it out a little bit, like make me want it.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you, but I'm also not going to agree with you. But anyway, man, all I had was our weird topic, which we had broached a couple of weeks ago, which was 2 to 3 games that you have never, and I mean never, played. Never. Your hands have never been on a controller controlling a character in this game that you would swear that everybody and their mother has played, or that you've been in a group of friends and when they found out you didn't play it, they basically read you down the road and wanted to unfriend you. So I will start to get this ball rolling with a more modern title, actually, that I've never played. And that is the most recent God of War games, because everybody I know has played them.
They're so good. They're so good.
And there was part of me that didn't want Kratos to get old. There's part of me that can't realistically believe in him relocating to Scandinavia. There's it felt like his story should never have went. He's my Jin Sakai dude. He never should have left Greece.
Hey, but at least he's the main character of their remake.
Yeah. I will say that now that they're talking about sending him to Egypt at 79 years old, or whatever how old he is,
which was alluded to in the Scandinavian tale here. So yeah, that was one they alluded to. It was super excited for that.
Will I eventually play it? Probably. After everybody, I don't know. But anyway, that's my first one. Is that one, because everybody jumps on me, including Jobo.
Let's see. I've got a list here. I don't know which one I want to start off with. So this one will probably be a bit of a. I got some that are probably shocking. I guess this was probably the least.
I don't know if I want to be drinking something. I was about to take a drink, and I thought, no, I'm not going to do that because I'm going to spit all over the TV.
I'll start off with one of the lesser shocking ones, I guess. So I have never played Metroid. Any Metroid game.
Well,
I've never played a Metroid game. Not the old
it's
ones.
One of the only Nintendo franchises I like, and you've never played it.
Not the old ones, not the new ones, nothing. Never played.
Wow.
I've never played a Metroid game. Played Castlevania. I've played plenty of Metroidvania games, but I've never played Metroid.
Did you play Strider?
No, I don't even know what that is.
Did you play Bionic Commando?
I have played the old. I did not play that one that they tried to when they tried to reboot it in like the early 2000s or whatever that was.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the OG one.
Yeah, like once or twice back in the day. I played that, but yeah, no Metroid though. So. I'm aware of the lore just through like cultural osmosis of Samus and all that stuff, but I have never played Metroid.
Okay, so both of my last two are going to be absolute shockers, but considering I'm a racing fan, this is probably going to blow people's minds. I have never, and I mean never, played Mario Kart.
Wow. Okay. See,
never.
Never, not any of them.
No.
Oops, wrong one. Whitney is giving you the eyebrows on that one. So
I don't know. I'm not emoji certified, but Yeah, I assume she's jumping on me for never playing Mario Kart. But yeah, as big a racing fan as I am, I've never ever played Mario Kart.
Well, that's one thing where it's like I don't think it's one of those things where it's like, well, if you're a racing fan, you need to have played Mario Kart because
Right,
obviously,
and I don't think so either.
yeah.
But people
Because
are
obviously
usually
this
shocked
is a
when I tell
different
'em.
thing, like
Yeah.
you are hardcore into like legit
Yeah.
F1 aerodynamics and
Yes.
milliseconds and what. Whereas like obviously Mario Kart is just big dumb fun. You're throwing mushrooms at people. But yeah, I've never done it as like a thing where I was like where I like sat down, just me, and I was just like,
Yeah.
let me go through all these things and learn the shortcuts. I just always did it either playing with friends or playing with my son. So I've done that. That's the only way I've played it is that way. I've never I would see people like taking shortcuts and all that stuff. I've never been as invested enough to like learn the shortcuts and all that stuff. I just enjoyed having just big dumb fun with my friends and my kid.
Yeah, I remember Jason asking me one time if I would play Mario Kart with him, and I grounded him for even asking me. So just kidding.
And he's
folks.
still
Yeah,
grounded to this day, actually.
Yeah, he's still grounded until Jesus comes back. Okay. All right, man. So what's your next one?
All right. So this one I would think would probably be even more shocking than Metroid. Because this is another one where I'm aware because of cultural
Why am I so? I'm like really like
cultural
what are you gonna
osmosis, its importance to its importance to culture and the lore of the series and all this stuff. So I'm aware of all these things that happen. I have never touched, played, booted up, seen a load screen as a start menu. I have never played Fallout New Vegas.
holy shit. Because you sound like such a big Fallout fan. And now everything you've ever said about Fallout is gone. I mean, it's gone. The only acceptable reason that people are allowed to give for not playing Fallout New Vegas is it's the only one that's not made by Bethesda.
Yeah, it was just one of those. It was just like the time and where I was when it came out. It just never lined up. And then by the time I just didn't go back. I'd like for them to like remaster it, remake it, re-release it, something.
Yeah.
To like get it, get some better textures and things like that and experience it that way. But yeah, so I'm aware of a lot of the things that happen in it and the choices and all that stuff. But just because of its importance to the lore and everything. But I never
Especially
actually played it.
considering that the new season of the TV show is basically New Vegas.
Yep. So, but yeah, I never played New Vegas. So there you go. That is mine. My second one.
I'm about to break the internet for any fans of this show with my next one. And this is not a game, this is a franchise. Can you guess a franchise that I have never, ever, ever, and I mean ever, touched?
Is it still going?
Yes. It is probably one of the most beloved franchises of all time.
Pokemon.
No.
But you probably also have not played Pokemon.
Yeah, I've also not played a Pokemon game.
No. I don't know. What give me a hint here.
I can't give you a hint without telling. I mean, there's no way to give you a hint.
Just tell me, yeah.
The Legend of Zelda.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that's not as crazy because I had never played a Legend of Zelda game until whatever the one was on Switch. It was Tears of the Kingdom, and then what was the other one that came out? Breath of the Wild. So Breath of the Wild was before Tears of the Kingdom. So Breath of the Wild. I had never played a Zelda game until Breath of the Wild.
So, well, that's impressive considering that I've never played any of them. But I walked into and they never had these stores out here. It was a local chain of department stores called Hills, where I grew up. And they had back when they had the display TVs where you could walk up and play demos. The year was 1985, and it was the holidays, and they were selling the original Nintendo Entertainment System, or maybe this was after Christmas. Anyway, I walk up and it said Legend of Zelda. It was the very first one ever. I had also just finished reading The Hobbit, the original Hobbit book.
Seems
not
like that
the
would be a
original.
perfect time to try it.
So I walk up, and there's this kid playing, and then he gets off, and then my dad gets on it, and he's playing it. And I go, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I think I'm going on a quest." And I go, "By yourself?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Where's all the rest of your party?" He's like, "I don't have a party." And I literally was like, "Well, we're done here." And you don't quest alone. And so that was it. Never. And now it's just a it's a life choice. I'm trying to make a quest of not having played it, which is weird because I'm questing alone.
One man, all alone.
One man betrayed with a few other people.
But yeah, so I was not a Nintendo kid. You know, I never had access to like a Nintendo growing up, really, and so it just never was something that was accessible. And it was also I'd never really felt like I was missing out on anything. Like I would see some stuff, I'm just like, I just don't know if that really speaks to me. But then whenever they did Breath of the Wild, and I had adult money, and I was like, I can do this, and it looks really cool. I really like that art style, and then I was blown away. It was phenomenal. So super, and then I fell in love with it.
I had already played Shadow of the Colossus, I think, when Breath of the Wild came out or whatever. And when I saw original footage of Breath of the Wild, I remember thinking, I was like, this looks a little bit like a hybrid of like Shadow of the Colossus and Skyrim.
Yeah. Shadow of the Colossus, that's like if HBO made Legend of Zelda, where they're like, let's make it darker and grittier, and let's make people sad after they're done with it. But
let's push kids out of windows.
Team Eco, man, gosh, those guys are so good. Okay, so my final one. Let's see here. All right, so my final one, a game where I've never touched it, never played it, never done anything, even though it is seminal to so many things that are not just being done currently in games, but also still in the gaming conversation, whether it's like comparisons to it or jokes related to it, like so many things that this thing is still, after all these years, so closely tied to game culture. And this is one where I'm sure this one's probably not going to be as shocking to a lot of people, especially like younger viewers or whatever, because they probably haven't either. But to people like that were around whenever this game was around, you and other friends, like that's who will probably shock. But I have never played Half-Life. I've never played Half-Life. So
I'm gonna need a minute.
Well, I'll give you all the time you need.
Dr. Gordon Freeman, Half-Life.
Yes.
And you're not wrong. It is definitely a big part of the conversation. And the main reason is not even for the game itself, it's for what it spawned. So it spawned Team Fortress 1 and 2, because that used to just be a mod of Half-Life. It also spawned Counter-Strike and Counter-Strike Go, because those didn't used to be games either. Those used to just be mods of Half-Life. In fact, they did a disc set called the Orange Box for Xbox 360.
Way back.
It was basically that. It was Half-Life and the two mods. And you could play Team Fortress and Counter-Strike. But man, you're not kidding when you talk about the game. It was so seminal. I was still a PC gamer back then. Sorry, I got a bug in here. I was still a PC gamer back there. So I played the original. I remember going to Best Buy and getting it in a box that was like ridiculous. PC games back then were in these gigantic boxes.
They were also, that was also a time whenever you had to go and you bought physical copies of those, but they were also stupid expensive. Steam, the team behind Half-Life, before Steam existed, computer games were ridiculously expensive. Prohibitive.
I think I paid $80 for Half-Life, and this was 1998 ish. So, but yeah, man, loaded up that game. I remember being pissed off that it was going to take 2.5 gigs of hard drive space. And and I was worried if I wasn't going to have enough RAM to run it. And I think I had 2 gigs of RAM back then, which was crazy because it would run nothing now. But it was also the first PC that I built. So literally my trial game on it was my benchmark was going to be Half-Life and Alien versus Predator. I bought both of those. And yeah, man, it's a great game. I'm not crazy shocked you haven't played it, and I get it. Because it's been more about what it spawned in the more recent game conversation than what it was.
Yeah, so
and it was
go
one of
ahead.
the few games that literally was a sum of its parts, and it was more about the parts than the whole.
Well, and yeah, for me, like I was still in school when it came out, and like I didn't have a gaming PC growing up or anything like that. We didn't, I didn't have the money or the ability to do any of that. So it was one of those things that I never had access to it. And then by the time that I did, even though obviously it was very influential, by the time the Orange Box came around, and it, and I could play it on console, it was already kind of like so far, like obviously the influence was still there, but graphics, all that stuff, it was now lagging behind. And so I just never went back and played it. But obviously, I've watched countless videos and stuff going over the lore of Half-Life, and the walkthroughs of all that stuff just to learn about it, stuff like that. I was fascinated by all of that. But yeah, I just never got the opportunity to play the game. And like I said, by the time the Orange Box came out and me as a console player had the opportunity to, it was just kind of outdated, and the things that it had created had sort of, taken the attention off of it. And so I just never got back to it. So maybe one of these days I will. Maybe one of these days I'll go and I'll do it. I know that there are people that are like remaking Half-Life in like the Unreal Engine or something like that.
Oh yeah.
And
there's already some mods out there built off of other games. So
and like remaking it through that. So yeah, maybe one of these days I will, but so far currently I have not, but I'm aware of it. And yeah, the legacy that it's left behind and the trail that it has blazed and the path that it sort of, lit up for everyone else to come behind it. Yeah. There's no way it's impossible to oversell the value that it had on the gaming industry, even still today.
Well, man, thank you very much for entertaining my gaming psychosis for another one of our weirdo categories. But
absolutely, I think those are always fun.
Yeah, I really you've said a few things during your list that make me think of another possible topic. But I need to think of how I want to word it. But you mentioned graphics and rendering and textures a lot, so it brings up the question that is asked so many times of gamers. Is what's the most important component of a game to you? And how would you rank them? And maybe that's the topic: graphics, gameplay, mechanics.
And honestly, I think it's one of those things where it might even change game to game. Because there are some games that I've played where the graphics are not good, but the story is so captivating that you're like,
I'm thinking of Cloud Punk right now when you said that. I don't know why, but that's what I was thinking.
Well, yeah, and so you're like, I don't care. Like this is just so this is so enthralling. But then, there's other things that you play just because they're the visual fidelity and the gameplay is awesome. But the Monster Hunter visual fidelity amazing, gameplay addictive, story non-existent.
Shit.
Yeah, it's just more an inconvenience, if anything. Like you're like, can we just get past this bit? So yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where I think like the values shift depending on the game and whatever it's really focused on. That is an interesting one that we can play with for sure. Or maybe we can talk about a game where certain aspects, whatever it was, were so good that we didn't care about this one glaring flaw.
Oh yeah. And there's a lot of games out there like that.
Yeah, like those. So anybody listen to this, leave us a comment, let us know any of those kinds of things, like Monster Hunter, where like, oh man, gameplay and graphics are amazing, but the story is atrocious, or
Well, look, I'll just bring up Skyrim real quick. Skyrim universally loved by everyone. I haven't really ever heard anyone say I hated Skyrim, but it's still got game-breaking bugs. Here we are 47 years down the road, and there's been 88 remakes of Skyrim.
You can play it on your fridge.
Yeah, and it's still got the same game-breaking weirdo bugs, man, that drive me crazy. And they have never, it's almost like now it's like, that's a scar of pride. We're not going to fix those things.
Yeah, I remember like whenever it released because it released for everything. Whenever it released for Switch, I bought it because I was like, oh, that would be cool to be able to play Skyrim on the Switch, like if you're on the go. And I remember there was something and I was like, what is going on? And then I Googled it and it's like, oh yeah, that quest line's broken.
Yeah, I know. Okay, I know what you're talking about. But yeah,
and it's like
it's never been fixed.
So I just can't fit. That's just what it is. Through all the re-releases. Yeah. All the things, all the years, all the teams that have worked on it. That's broken quest line. Yeah, you can't finish it. All right, cool.
I remember interviewing Todd Howard like on the floor of a convention somewhere, and for the life of me, I can't remember where it was, but he was like, "That game's going to outlive the cockroach." He's like, "We cannot kill it. We've been trying to kill it. We don't fix bugs anymore. We haven't fixed bugs for years, and it will not go away."
Yeah,
and he's right. They created such a gem that they can't outlive it. It feels like in a lot of ways.
That's, I mean, that's got to be the reason that they've waited so long for the next Elder Scrolls, because they're like, how do we even begin to like contend with what we created here? This is like we didn't even know we were going to set this bar that we now have to try to excel over.
Well, look at Starfield. When I finally crawled back into Starfield, and I'm talking pre-Genesis, pre-Star Wars Genesis, I was like, why does everybody hate this game? It's not that bad. Is it Skyrim? No. But you're right. That's the stigma that Skyrim has. Basically, everything else they come out with, it's just standing there pissing on it. And if I'm Howard, like doing the next Elder Scrolls, I'm walking in a room going, okay, so the question we're going to ask today is, after we release Elder Scrolls 6, how long before a player rolls back and starts playing Skyrim again?
Yeah, well, because it's like, that's the thing. It's like whenever something like that happened, like whenever they released Skyrim, nobody said, oh, it'll be like Fallout 3 in space. Everybody was like, oh, it'll be like Skyrim in space. It'll be Elder Scrolls in space. That was what they were basing it off of.
Yeah.
They were basing it off of Skyrim. Let's do Skyrim in space. Not, oh, let's do Fallout 3 in space. Let's do a smaller, more focused story in space. Everybody was like, I want to go to like all the planets, and I want all those planets to have like weird village people that operate the local bar. And like everybody was like wanting this crazy thing that they just couldn't do.
No, they couldn't deliver on it. And it's sad. You look at a game like Jedi Fallen Order or Jedi Survivor, and I think what made those games successful was not that they had the biggest franchise in world history. It was that they knew the product they needed to do. It's not open world. It's linear. There's some lateral exploration you can do, but for the most part, it goes right through its story, and it hits all of its beats. And then Survivor kind of opened your world up a little bit, but still held you within the confines of their story. And I think that's what made it successful.
Yeah, if they would have done that same thing and had it not been Star Wars, it would have been just successful. Yeah, that was just a good game. Yeah, Jedi, Fallen Order and Survivor. Yeah, they were just good games.
Yeah. So anyway, but man, that's all I've got.
Well, that's all I have as well. So again, want to say thank you to Jay for keeping his ear to the ground whenever it comes to all the news and all that stuff, and making sure that we still have content for these weekly episodes while I'm dealing with all the house stuff. And I apologize again for not putting out any edited videos, but soon we'll get back to that, and I will be settled after that. But yeah, so thanks to Jay, and looking forward to next week. We'll see what goes crazy over the next week. I'm sure there will be plenty of insanity. Especially
we'll probably have Battlefield 6 PC optimization, Fallout. We'll probably have a little bit of everything.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know what episode number tonight is, but of Peacekeeper. It's coming. It's got to be coming pretty close to the end of the season for not Peacekeeper. Sorry, Peacemaker. So yeah, that one's been intriguing.
I gotta start both of those. I don't even know what one of them is.
But yeah, thank you to everybody, and yeah, we will see you again next week. Thanks so much.
See you all.